Good morning, you beautiful people. Another beautiful day. Yeah. You must pledge your allegiance to Destiny, Anthem, and Master Chief. What's good? What's good? Anyway, hope your 5 senses work. Hope your health and strength is good. Take life one day at a time. Worry about today, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow brings its own problems. Okay? Alright, let's do this. Now, so what are we talking about there? Oh, so Sega arcades is closing in Japan. Listen to this. Found this on Kotaku. It says fans gather to say goodbye to a legendary Sega arcade. And by the way, if you got a Dreamcast, you're good, man. You know, Dreamcast and Sega Saturns, when it comes to Capcom games, especially their fighting ones, like Dreamcast and Sega Saturn rules that department. You're like, what about PlayStation 4? Dreamcast and Sega Saturn, man. Just remember that. Anyway, it says here, fans gather to say goodbye to a legendary Sega arcade. After 28 years, Sega Ikeburo Gaigo has closed its doors. And then it says, last month, Sega announced that its Sega Ikeburo Gaigo arcade will be closing on September 20th. Yesterday, fans gathered to say goodbye to the legendary game center at a ceremony Sega held marked the end of 28-year run. On out front hung a sign that read in Japanese, "Thank you for 28 years." Staff wore shirts with the same message, with loudspeakers played Hotaru and Hikari, the light of the firefly, set to the tune of Hugh Lang Sing. But with the different lyrics, the song is commonly played in Japanese stores right before closing. After the countdown to the arcade final closing, the arcade manager climbs to the top of the ladder to give a speech recounting Sega's Ikeburo Gaigo story. He wanted to make clear that the arcade was not shuttering due to COVID-19, but rather to unavoidable circumstances. According to Famitsu, and as Kotaku previously reported, the lease agreement ended, and the primary factor for the arcade closing was the building renovation. If it were in my power, I want to stay open forever at this location and greet the happy faces of our wonderful customers, said the arcade manager. Unfortunately, at this time, the way it turns out was the arcade has closed. And then it says here, 9-story arcade opened in January 1993 as Ikeburo Gaigo and quickly became an area landmark over the years. The exterior changed, going from yellow during the 2000s to red in 2013 when the game center was rebranded Sega Ikeburo Gaigo. It was a popular test location spot for new arcade games. Kind of like out in Sunnyvale, California with Capcom. But anyway, Sega is one of the most dominant forces in the industry, sold off 85% of its arcade business in November 2020 last year. Another landmark Sega arcade company, Akihabara second arcade closed, famous for its emblazoned escalator. The arcade did not give an official reason for closing. And it says, the last time I was in Tokyo before the pandemic, I went to a Sega Ikeburo Gaigo. Shame I don't get that chance again. And it says here, I think that's the end of it. People are giving their thoughts and their comments. But you know, the business was open for 25 years, and you know, Sega, as times change, Sega. This business has been open for 25 years, so it served the community pretty well. But in the land of video games, consistency is the key. And ever since Sega came out with the Dreamcast, to me, the reason why the Dreamcast failed, it did not change with the times. meaning that when it came out, it was the end of the CD-ROM era. DVDs came in. It was not that PlayStation 2 so-called beat it, so to speak, like most people want to put it. Is the fact that when it came out, it was the end of the regular CD-ROM era. DVDs came in. So to me, that's why Sega didn't do so well in the console business. But other than that, Sega has been making a lot of good arcade. A lot of their arcade games are really good, you know. And I wish Sega would have would have teamed up with Microsoft, you know, at the time when the Xbox One was out, or even the 360, and said, okay, we're gonna flood your systems. We're gonna flood your systems with games. I wish they would have done that, you know. They probably would be in a better space, you know. But I think the reason, you know, Sega closed, you know, because, you know, I mean, times have changed. The arcade business has changed, and time, maintenance costs and renting a building out and stuff like that. You know, all that stuff adds up. You know, and it's time to like move on to something else. But I think, to me, I think they should have teamed up with Microsoft. You know, from day one. You know, even during the original Xbox, bring a lot of their games over. You know, since they're not in the console business anymore, I thought they should have done that. And I think one of the reasons too they're trying to do this, you know, is maybe they are trying to be part of be under Microsoft umbrella, so they can continue to make games. Maybe, who knows what they're what they're up to right now. But I think they should have gotten with Xbox from day one, you know, and stayed with them, you know, put all their games on their consoles, you know, and I think they would have done better. This arcade, you know, Japan is known for their arcades. They're known for their arcades, you know, and this was one of the test center for their arcades. But you know, time and unforeseen occurrence, it happens, and you know, business come and business go. Some businesses are meant to stay forever, you know. Other businesses are meant to have a certain time period where they have to make room, where they have to exit and make room, you know. Or maybe, you know, maybe Sega did this as a way to be part of Microsoft, like I've been saying before. Maybe, who knows, you know. But I think they should definitely get with Xbox, you know. I think so. I mean, based on this picture right now, you know, based on this crowd picture right now, you know, Sega had a lot of fans in Japan. You can see they got fans in America too, but this crowd is pretty big, so that lets you know how much they're gonna miss that landmark of a building. You know, it's gonna be truly missed, man. It would you know what, it would be like your local arcade that you go to, that you love so much. You've been going there for years playing games, and then one day all of a sudden the arcade just closed. It's no more. It's the same thing in Japan, you know. There's something about an arcade. There's something about an arcade. There's something about an arcade when it brings people together. Most of my gaming friends that I know, my gaming friends that I know, the people that I know that play video games, I met them in the arcades. You know, I met them in the arcades. Even though we weren't the best friends, I knew not everybody you can be friends with. I knew a lot of people through the arcades, you know, and that's how I met a lot of people. You know, it was through the arcades, and the arcade was like a community where a whole bunch of people would show up and put their skills to the test, and talking about gaming, trash talking, all that, you know, and that's how, and it's competitive too. So just imagine, you know, you go to your local. You've been going to your local arcade for years, and then all of a sudden, the doors are just shut down. It happens, you know. But that's why we have consoles now, you know. The arcades might be closed, but video games must go on. You know, video games must go on, you know. So that's why we got these consoles, you know. You know, I think Sega need to bring a lot of their games to Xbox. You know, sell a lot of their games on Xbox. You know, and you can tell by the crowd that the people miss this place because a lot of them will go in there and just play. You know, but it's life. You know, it's the nature of business. You know, it's the nature of business. You know, some business are meant to stay forever. Other business have an expiration date, man. And this is what happens to the arcade in Japan. You know, it's sad, man. I remember when the arcade in my area closed. There was a couple of them that I used to go to. You know, I mean, I've been to one out in I've been out to arcades in what Milpitas. I've been out to Sunnyvale, Fairfield. You know, I've been to different arcades. You know, and some in my area they closed down. So, you know, you know, I was used to going to it, but it closed. But you know, not only that too, on the Dreamcast, when Soul Calibur 1 came out, man, that to me that was the death of the arcades, man. To me, the arcades was walking on thin ice, man. When Soul Calibur 1 on the Dreamcast came out, when Soul Calibur 1, Dead or Alive 2, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 came on the Dreamcast, man. Those three games, man, did damage, man. Damage. So yeah, the arcades was on shaky grounds after that. You know what I'm saying? There was no point. Once you saw the Dreamcast version of Soul Calibur, it was like the arcades in the United States start to feel that effect. You know, they start to die off. You know, they start to die off, man. You see it. You know, people weren't coming to the arcades like they used to. You know, people would stay home and play on consoles. You know, and then the demand for online play was on the rise. So yeah, when the Dreamcast came out, man, it did. When the Dreamcast came out, and when they got Soul Calibur 3, not Soul Calibur 1, and then you could play Virtual Fighter 3 and Dead or Alive 2, and then if you got a Bleamcast, then you could play Tekken 3 on the Dreamcast, man. And that was like the death of the arcade right then and there. It was like you could see the arcade just like, you know, the PlayStation didn't do anything to the arcade. They really didn't do anything. It was the Dreamcast that did it. The Dreamcast is the arcade killer, man. The Dreamcast is the arcade killer because Dead or Alive 2, Soul Calibur, Dead or Alive, Virtual Fighter, and if you can run Tekken 3, and then you throw Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2 in the mix with Street Fighter 3, the arcade was like this. On a downslope after that, man, it was done. So, yeah, it's sad to see a nice arcade in Japan like this that closed, but that's the nature of life and business, man. You know, but video games go on. We got consoles now, so you know, maybe Sega can still make games. I think Sega needs to team up with Microsoft, though. I really do. Sega really needs to team up with Microsoft and flood the Xbox with a whole bunch of their games, you know, and keep the memories of their games going, man. I think they really need to do that. You know, team up with Microsoft and Sony. Every time they drop like Virtual Fighter 6, PlayStation get a copy, Xbox get a copy, and then, you know, keep the legacy alive, man. You know, keep the legacy alive, man. But yeah, it's sad, man. I can tell by the look on these people that they're like heartbroken. They're upset. Yeah, so much memories, man. Man, me in America here know how these people feel, because trust me, I've been to some arcades, man, and when you see them go like that, you know, it hurt. It's sad, but at the same time, life goes on, man. You know, but at least if you got a Dreamcast with Soul Calibur, Dead or Alive 2, Tekken, and all them Capcom fighting games, you good, man. Yeah. If you got a Sega Saturn, oh yeah. If the Dreamcast and Sega Saturn, if you got both those consoles in perfect working condition, man, in today's time, you're good. You are good, man, because the fighting games on those two consoles, yeah, Man, I could have tell by the look at this picture that these people are like, man, it's like a pity party. But that's the nature of business, man. That's the nature of business, man. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek thing. More dark side. I'm gone. Peace.